Hello, everybody. Welcome to another exciting episode of Jimmy's Jambox. We're here. We're back at it again, and we're going to get on into it. But before we do, as always, please make sure to like, subscribe, push all the buttons, do all the things. You know, I don't know where they are, but you do, and I trust you. With that being said, here's a quick word from our sponsors. Organic herbs and botanicals, skincare and edibles, wellness for body and mind. The Brothers Apothecary. Fine teas and remedies. Ronald Records. From indie gems to classic hits, discover the heart of local music. With live shows all the time, up close and personal, and regular releases on their in-house label. Ronald Records. Supporting the community, one track at a time. All right, thank y'all so much for watching. Again, shout out the Brothers Apothecary and Ronald Records, and Portland Water. Make sure to click the link below and go check them out. Guarantee you're going to like them. And with that being said, let's go ahead and get on into it. Here is today's guest.
Howdy. I'm It&i from Oregon City, Portland area.
Hello.
Howdy.
Thank you so much for joining us. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about, who you are, what you do, where you're from. Give us that Tinder profile of your involvement with music.
I'm a one-man band.
Mm-hmm.
I used to play in metal bands around Portland for 10 years or so, but somewhere in the pandemic, I kind of switched over to just doing the one-man band thing and kind of took off with it. And it was a lot easier, and I could do whatever I wanted. So
that's fair. I can definitely understand that. Well, it's exciting. What got you into music initially?
I don't know. My dad was like a folk musician in the 70s, 80s, and he kind of always had guitars around. So one day I picked it up and never put it back down.
Gotcha. Well, hey, that's not a bad way to go about it. Mm. Was he in bands as well? Or did he always kind of do his own thing?
He kind of just played around coffee shops and stuff.
Okay. Well, that's exciting.
Kind of Cat Stevens sort of stuff.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. And then I have a couple quick foundation questions I check in with everybody on just to keep continuity. But this first one, it's one we ask early, it's one we ask often, and it's definitely a crowd favorite. What was the first album you ever bought with your own money?
The Lion King soundtrack.
Okay. Interesting.
I wish it was cooler, but...
No, it's a great soundtrack.
Some of it still slaps.
Yeah, no, definitely. The Circle of Life is a banger. I don't care what anybody says. But no, that's cool. And that's definitely I don't think I've ever gotten that as an answer before. That's an exciting one. I like that. And then what was the first live show you ever went to that was one you wanted to go to? So you saw what was happening, got tickets and went to it.
I think it was Weird Al, because Weird Al I grew up in this place called Central Coast of California near San Luis Obispo.
Okay, yeah.
He went to college, so he puts on a free show every year at the Mid-State Fair, and so that was the first show I ever saw him.
Okay, that's exciting. Yeah, I bet. What is a Weird Al show like?
It's crazy. There's costume changes, and he does really. There's weird video clips and stuff.
Okay,
edits up things he's interviewing Ozzy Osbourne and stuff.
Oh man, so it's a full production.
Yeah.
Well, that's exciting.
Yeah.
So are you from California originally?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm from the Bay Area myself.
All right.
Yeah. And then before we get into more of what you're doing with music in the present day, do you have a defining moment where you decided you wanted to take music more seriously?
Yeah, I think it was kind of, I don't know. After my kid was born, I kind of realized that it was when it kind of all clicked, and I finally started making the sort of stuff that I liked and that I felt was actually good. And because before that, I wasn't too stoked on it. So I don't know. And it kind of having a kid kind of made
Yeah, puts it all in perspective.
Yeah.
Although that's interesting because usually I feel like when people have kids, they decide to like step away from music and take care of the kid. I mean, not that I'm saying you don't take care of your kid, but like usually they're like, oh, I can't do that and this.
Yeah.
So it's cool that you saw it as like, I need to become serious about the thing I'm passionate about, which I think will set a good example and kind of feels like that's how you got into music too. Because I imagine, you saw your dad being passionate about music as well, and that made you want to get into it.
Yeah.
Are you going to buy your kid a drum set when it's time?
He's more into like DJ synthesizer kind of stuff.
Oh, it's too late to make him a drummer. Darn.
Yeah.
Hey, that's all right. I mean, music nowadays is moving very digital, so it's probably not the worst.
Yeah.
But that's exciting. But now let's go ahead and let's get on into you in the present day.
Yeah.
And we're going to get a super easy one out of the way.
Yeah.
How'd you pick the name?
It's just a translation or English translation of id and ego. It&i.
Oh, okay. Explains your Instagram handle.
Yeah.
It all makes sense now.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. I can appreciate that.
Yeah.
I guess what inspired that?
I don't know. I wanted something that kind of looked like a symbol, like Prince when he changed his name to a symbol. Okay. Or I really like Alt J, like their name, how it kind of looks all janky and symbolic, or like a symbol or something.
Gotcha.
So it's kind of, that's why it's all smushed together and the I's lowercase, because I don't know.
I did notice that, and I thought it was a good touch. Yeah, no, I dig that for sure. And then let's go ahead and let's talk about your writing process.
Yeah.
And we're going to break it up into chunks, but we're going to start right at the beginning. So when you get inspired, you're ready to make music. Yeah. What are some of the things you do to get a track started?
Usually drink a bit. It's different. Well, I started using loopers and stuff when
when you went solo.
Yeah, well, but when I first started doing the solo stuff, I was doing it kind of old-timey sort of.
Oh, just like the big drum on the back, the harmonica in the front.
Well, no, almost. I was trying to be like kind of Tom Waits, Go-Go Bordello sort of stuff. And, but then I got all into pedals and everything. And so some songs I write by like messing around with the looper and coming up with like a loop and build the song around that. And then sometimes I just tinker away on a guitar and write a song.
Okay. And do you play with like backing tracks and things like that, or do you just, it's just you and a looper?
Yeah, I like to do it live because it kind of adds a daredevil quality to it.
A bit of a spiciness to it.
Because if you mess up, you're stuck with it.
Yeah. So then I guess, do you make like any kind of like percussive sound using your stringed instrument as well? Or do you like record like hand percussion, kind of like Mark Ribier?
I play drums with my feet. So I have
interesting.
a hone that I sit on and I play it with two pedals backwards. And the front's kind of the bass drum sound. And then the side, there's a license plate screwed onto it. It's like the snare sound.
Oh, whoa, that's exciting.
And then I wear like a boot with a bunch of jangly stuff on it.
Okay, so you kind of did adopt the like true old timey, just instead of a bass drum, it's a cajon.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. How long did it take you to get like comfortable with that process?
I kind of was a gradual thing because when I started off doing it, I didn't have any of the guitar pedals or anything.
Oh, gotcha. So like you kind of just, as you figured it out, you like added in a thing and kind of built onto it.
Yeah. And I mean, it's pretty limited percussion. It's like dooch.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, you're already tapping your foot anyways, or at least you should be tapping your foot when you're playing to keep tempo. So that, I guess that's kind of just a good natural progression from it.
Yeah.
Well, it's exciting. I guess once you get a track finished writing, how long does it usually take you to get comfortable to be able to perform it with that approach?
It's different every time because some of the songs are really easy. Some are pretty complicated. Like some of the looping ones, I build the loop at the beginning and then at a certain part in the middle of the song, I add to it or change it. And so that's always really kind of complicated to figure out because it's like
Yeah, you gotta like figure out the timing and everything.
Yeah, and gotta make sure I'm completely comfortable with it before I try to do it in front of people.
Yeah, very much so. I imagine there's not a lot of room for like, except for probably, I imagine you create space, but there's probably not a lot of room for like improvisation in the process.
Yeah.
Do you leave spots where you're like able to open up a little bit, or are you just like stuck to the process?
Yeah, so mostly in like the songs where I don't use the looper because I have.
Oh, that makes sense.
Kind of half of them are non-looper songs. And
gotcha. And do you play mostly with like an acoustic guitar, mostly with an electric guitar? Do you bring both with you?
It's a nylon string, like classical guitar with a pickup in it. And I duct taped a peanut can lid over the sound hole so it doesn't feed back with all the effects and stuff.
Interesting.
But it's pretty much my main sound is I have like an octave pedal and a distortion on all the time. So
okay, yeah, I can do that.
Really beefy and
yeah. And I was checking out some of your music, and it's interesting. It is interesting music for sure. And I noticed like you have music from 2016, and then there's a little bit of gap, and it goes to 2023 with your most recent album, which is a Feral Occident. But then in capitals, it's Aericide.
Yeah.
What? Can you explain a little bit of that?
I don't know. I get a little douchey and carried away with words sometimes.
Oh, okay. Well, I was like, man, is there something in that?
Well, it's supposed to be Wild West is Feral Occident, and then the era side is like a end of an era or something.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So it was. I was kind of thinking that's what it was. It's like the end of era.
Yeah,
I could dig that. It is a very interesting experience. Like I said before, it starts out very like that first track is just very loose. It's like it kind of builds like it's going to go to something, but by the time it makes it to Tangled in the Tongue, I was hooked. Like I could not stop listening after that first track because I just had to know where it went from there. And all the sounds are very like unique and layered and textured. Do you play it like kind of like in little bits as you record it? Do you like get like comfortable like playing the whole thing before you go and track?
That stuff that I recorded, that and the Rednecks and Fairyland EP, I recorded out at my buddy's barn, and we recorded everything live with like, there's some overdubs on a couple of the songs.
Yeah. Oh, so for the most part, it's all just kind of, is it, are they all just like one big one takes then?
Yeah. Well,
I mean, each individual song.
They were recording it digitally, so they were able to splice it together in certain parts.
Okay, but it's not like you like tracked a certain sound and then another sound and then another sound.
Yeah,
man, that's impressive.
Yeah,
I bet that was a unique experience all on its own.
It was. Well, at first we were like smoking in the studio because it's like off of the side of my buddy's barn, and so we were like, "This is so rad! We get to smoke in the studio like the '70s." And then I realized I couldn't sing in like a cloud of smoke.
Oh no!
And so then like his wife got me tea and was like, "All right, asshole, stop smoking in the studio."
Well, hey, I guess that's why they don't do it anymore, right?
Yeah.
No, but that's fun. But I was I do this bit where I pick out a track of my own or a track that I enjoyed, and I don't know how to say it.
Yeah.
But it's written out as VR/AI-FF greater than aux.
Yeah.
How do you actually say the name of the song, first of all?
That's another getting carried away with weird stuff that it's like inside jokes with myself, but it's supposed to be like VR, like virtual reality, AI, artificial intelligence.
Oh.
Fast forward, auxiliary, but then it's like all the letters actually spell out like true, false in French, which I don't actually speak, so I don't know.
Okay. Man, I was so wrong in my guesses on what it might have been. I was thinking like the / might have been a lowercase L, but then I couldn't figure out what the dash would have been, and then I was like, well, there's none of it. So yeah, I'm glad I just wasn't right at all. But yeah, it was a really cool track. I enjoyed it a lot.
Thank you.
But I'm curious to know, what is one of your favorite tracks to perform?
I don't know. Kind of some of the newer ones that I haven't recorded. I have this one called Cheshire Moon that's like my favorite to do, and I end the set with it because it has this really epic kind of like, it's like circus Tool kind of crazy end part to it. But that's one of my favorites. And the Clown Warrior off of the Rednecks and Fairyland EP, that one's pretty fun to do because it's just trucking the whole time, and I get to that one. I do a big improv part where it's like different every time. Where
exciting!
And I get this big, huge freak out, and then it all comes back together. And
gotcha. Well, yeah, I bet that one's a fun one to experience for sure.
Yeah.
And then let's talk about some new music you're working on. So obviously it's not out yet because you're working on it, but like, are you moving in a different direction? Are you sticking to more of the same? How would you describe it, like characteristically?
It's similar stuff. I'm just kind of trying to build on the same ideas, but not repeat myself too much.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like to I like people when they find a sound and stick to it and stuff. So I don't know. But I've kind of got way too much material to like get out. And I'm working on recording it myself this time around. And so that's taken forever because I'm doing all these road shows and stuff.
Yeah. You're definitely playing a lot. I mean, just before this, you came from a handful of things.
Yeah.
For as far as recording it goes, and I know this might be a little technical for everybody, but like, what do you use to capture all of that kind of, like, do you also record it as one take on your own, or do you do it in bits when it's just you?
I'm hoping to do it because my first album, I don't even remember what it was called, the one from 2016, that one I recorded on like a little 4-track cassette thing. So I had to fit everything in onto 4 tracks, but I recorded everything separate. And I was able to obsess over every little thing and get it exactly how I wanted it. And so I'm kind of hoping to do that again.
But, interesting.
But my new recording thing I have has got 16 tracks. And 'cause I'm a little bit of a Luddite. I don't have a computer or anything, so I like things that you can just do all the stuff on.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. My whole setup here doesn't actually use one until it's time to like edit. So I fully understand that part. And also I think there's a little bit of like the forced need for creativity when you're met with limitation, because you can't just be like, oh, we can just nudge that over in this moment. I can hear like you kind of have to do it the way that you like want to hear it right back in that moment, because that's the only way you're going to be able to hear it.
Well, and I like things a little gritty too. Like sometimes when you hear it, the finished thing, it's a little too clean. And
So I guess for the 16 track, is it a digital recorder still, or is it like, are you like recording to tape?
It's a digital like Yamaha recorder my buddy gave me.
Okay.
And, but you can burn CDs on it and
gotcha.
And do all the mixing and mastering and put it on a USB drive and stuff. So.
Damn, well, that's really exciting. I would love to see more of that process.
Yeah, I'm hoping maybe in the wintertime I'll take a good long break from shows and work on it.
Yeah. And then like originally what I was going to ask is like, as far as like getting it all in, do you like mic up parts individually? Do you do just like a room? Like how do you go about capturing that from like as like a source?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking, well, because I want to do an acoustic album and then another album of my crazy bonkers stuff.
Yeah.
The acoustic one, I was thinking I'd just kind of clear out the living room at my house because I have this funky old house in Oregon City, and
as many of them are.
But then mic the room and then kind of record just the acoustic guitar and vocals in the room.
Oh, okay.
And get a weird, echoey, creepy sound to it.
Yeah. No, I dig that.
And
I'm a little curious, what made you decide, remind me, how do you describe the genre again?
Junkyard Carnival Pop.
Junkyard Carnival Pop. That is definitely an interesting one. What made you decide to like land in that realm?
I don't know. I have so many different genres of music I like. Like any given day I'm listening to different stuff. It's like death metal one day, Joni Mitchell the next, and Tom Waits the next, and so I don't know. It's so I just try to kind of mix it all together because I love dancey, like drive-in music, and weird circusy music, like The Residents and Ronaldo and the Loaf, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I like music that the widest amount of people can relate to, like just a good pop song, like so. I try to do all those things at once.
Gotcha. Well, it's definitely, like I said, the album itself is a little bit of a roller coaster, but like there wasn't a moment where I didn't want to know more about what was happening in it. Yeah. I'm like, I wrote down the name of it. I'm sorry. Like I was saying earlier, Tangled in the Tongue. There's the lead guitar part in the beginning. Like it's so catchy. Yeah. It's so engaging. But the song around it is so, the rest of the genres you described. And it just, there's so much going on. How do you kind of keep track of all that as it's happening?
I don't know. Well, it's kind of like letting your eyes go out of focus. You got to let your brain kind of go out of focus because I got to set up the loop live when I do it and then start playing drums, and then I got to kick the loop off, play guitar and start singing, and then kick the loop back on for the chorus and everything. So it's kind of, you just kind of program it in, and then you don't really have to think about it. It just kind of comes out. And
Gotcha.
Or that's what works for me.
Yeah, no, totally. I don't have the capacity to do so many of the things at once. So that's always really interesting to me. And then I want to take a moment and look, let's step out. Let's look at kind of just general music as a whole. What are some of the things about like newer music, or if you're not like big on newer music, like music that's new to you, that you find like inspiring or just like enjoyable?
Yeah. I actually do like I really like Dua Lipa for some reason.
Okay.
And but yeah, I don't know. Her songs are just really well written. I don't know if she writes them or not, but I mean, I think she maybe has a part in it or something. But a lot of those big pop people don't write that stuff. But
or they have like a handful of people in the room with them when they're writing it. But but no, I mean that's what is it about her music that you enjoy?
I don't know. It's kind of sexy. It sounds really good, and like it's just driving and big old bass lines and stuff. And
oh yeah, no, I dig that. And then I guess just kind of like more on like a broader question though. What are some of the characteristics of newer music that you're finding interesting, or like I said, like inspirational even?
I don't know. I like that. It seems like more people are kind of trying to get a little experimental within pop music, and it kind of seems like we're going a good place again. I guess.
Yeah, I can agree with that fully. And that seems to be kind of the recurring answer to that question. I appreciate that because I think at some point we can't just stick to one thing forever, because we're getting to a point where too many people like too much music at once for it to just stay singular. Yeah. And then before we move on to the next portion, which is all hypothetical questions, this next one's probably the densest question in the interview. But we talked a lot, about your experience with music, the actions, the reactions, things like that. But when it's just you and the music one-on-one, what does music give back to you?
I don't know. It's kind of, it's a fun place to hang out. It's, I don't know. It's kind of a bummer sometimes being like a solo musician, because it's like, I always say it's like playing baseball by yourself, and you like hit it out of the park and you're like, did you see that? And there's nobody there. And, but I don't know. It's just kind of a comforting, cool place to hang out. I mean, it's like creating your own sort of world that you get to just cruise around in whenever you want. And,
I like that. I've never heard anybody put it quite that way, and I really enjoy that. So thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
But now, like I said, let's go ahead and move on to some hypothetical questions.
Yeah.
And for these, sky's the limits. The questions are all made up, so the answers are allowed to be as well. But this first one's pretty straightforward. Yeah. If you could work with any one person, the only requirement is they have to be alive.
Yeah.
Who would you want to work with, and how would you want to work with them?
Dang it, I should have thought about this. My mind's drawing a blank. Most of the guys I like are dead.
Fair.
I guess Kate Bush is still alive. I really like Kate Bush. It'd be awesome to make a weird fairy musical with her or something.
Fair, yeah, I could see that. And then subsequently, who's a local artist that's like you're aware of or is on your radar that you haven't gotten to connect with yet, but you would like to?
Most of the ones that like Fox Medicine. I've
shout out Fox Medicine. Y'all saw them a couple weeks ago.
We do a lot of stuff together. Oh, I really love CMOS. They're like a duo, crazy electronics, percussion, and stuff. And
I think they also got mentioned on Fox Medicine's episode. So
I know.
Everybody at them in the comments. Let's see if we can make that happen.
Right.
And I guess before we move all the way through it, how did you come across like hanging out with Fox Medicine and all that?
Back in my last metal band I was in, we were called Pet Weapon. We were a two-piece kind of Melvin Z big business sort of thing. And but we played a show with them, and then during the pandemic, our buddy Ripley was doing these like parking lot shows, like kind of guerrilla parking lot shows called Shenaniganza. And
oh, that's a good name.
And but yeah, so we met up at one of those, and I had started doing the one-man band thing, and then they started inviting me to a show, and then I'd invite them to a show, and we play out at Primal Tones quite a bit out on the coast in Newport.
Okay. And do you play like with them as a band, or do you just play as like an additional act in the bill?
Yeah, just additional act.
Okay, cool. Well, like I said, before we kept going in on it, I wanted to find out a little bit more about that.
Yeah.
But getting back to it for this next one, like I said before, sky's the limits, and it's pretty literal in this sense. But if you could perform anywhere in the world, and you wouldn't have to worry about crowd access or building stability or power, it was like guaranteed the best lineup, guaranteed the best show, and it doesn't have to be a venue.
Yeah.
Where would it be?
I really want to do a tour around Iceland. I think that would be awesome. Because there's like that Sigur Rós documentary where they like went home and they toured around the whole country, and it was pretty awesome.
That's exciting.
Looks fun to do.
Have you ever actually been there before?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so you just want to like make that your first experience.
Yeah.
That'd be exciting for sure.
Yeah.
And then to wrap up the hypothetical questions, if you could get one more album from anybody, they could be alive, they could be dead, they could have not put out an album in 100 years, they could have put out an album yesterday. Who would you want an album from?
I was watching a thing about Nirvana the other day, and I really wish that we could have gotten at least one more out of them.
Yeah.
And I imagine it would have been pretty awesome.
I think so too. And, surprisingly, I don't get that answer a lot for that question. And I expected that a little more being, where we're located.
Yeah.
But that would definitely be a solid one. Yeah. But with that being said, we're going to go ahead and start wrapping this up. What can we look forward to between now and the end of the year?
Oh, a bunch of stuff.
Remember this comes out fourth week of July.
Okay.
Yeah. So after July, from August onwards? What's happening?
August, I'm doing my big portion of my summer tour. I'm kind of counting all of that because I'm playing pretty much every weekend from here to eternity.
Yeah.
But in August, I'm doing like a full-on like 2.5 week thing.
Oh, wow.
All the way down to Southern California and back up, and then Washington over to Spokane. And
okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah. By the way, have you ever heard of a group called Sweet and Juicy?
Yes.
Ah.
We've been crisscrossing paths for years, and
okay, I can imagine. They're definitely friends of the show, and I feel like if you ever went on and wanted to go somewhere, they're always going somewhere.
Yeah.
So I think that would be a fun show too. Well, if you ever play with them, let me know. Yeah,
them and this guy Arthur Buezo from Klamath Falls, I've been doing a bunch of shows with, and he's another one-man band.
Hell yeah, that's awesome. But sorry, I don't want to tangent away from this part too much. Right. For this next one, go and look straight at the camera. Tell everybody how they can find you.
I'm on Instagram. My name is pretty awkward. It's ID underscore. Is it underscore?
It'll be on the screen. Just say it out as best you can.
Id and Ego. And I think that's it.
Yeah. And then like Spotify.
And then Spotify, It&i, It ampersand I.
Oh yeah.
And
And then any other plugs, any other shout outs, anybody else you'd like to put on while you're on here?
I can't think of anything.
Okay, that's totally fine. Well, with that being said, I've got one last question for you. But before we do, I'm going to steal the camera for just a second.
Okay.
As always, y'all, please make sure to like, subscribe, push all the buttons, do all the things. I don't know where they are, but you do, and I trust you. And one more shout out to the Brothers Apothecary, Ronald Records, and Portland Water. Make sure to click the link below and go check them out. Guarantee you're going to like them. And with that being said, the final question. And this is entirely up to your interpretation. Okay. But what is an album you feel is more on the obscure side? So it's a deep cut. It's one not a lot of people would know, but it's one you think everybody should know.
Probably Ronaldo and the Loaf, Arabic yodeling. That's like one of my favorite weirdo albums.
Oh yeah.
And
that's not one I'm familiar with, so I'm super excited to check it out.
Yeah.
All right. Well, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get up on out of here. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Yeah. This has been another exciting episode of Jimmy's Jambox. I'm Jimmy.
I'm It&i.
And we're signing off. Later, y'all.
That's a wrap.
This is not a podcast. This is a show.
jamming.